Hello, my name is Tony Beers, and this is Movie Grades.
And just like the movies, we play out our last scene.
Hey everybody, Tony Beers here again. This is a very special Movie Grades. In this episode of Movie Grades, we're going to be talking about the top 3 best and top 3 worst movies of 2014. And I got my friends here, Russell, Jay, and Tyler. And we're going to start with Russell. What was your number 3 best movie of this year? Number 3.
My third favorite movie for the year was The Hobbit: Battle of the Five Armies. Basically what I liked about it was essentially a lot of the things they'd been building up in the first 2 movies really came to fruition in this movie. They fleshed out the characters a lot more, and pretty much, again, everything culminated in this movie, but leading up properly to the Lord of the Rings movies as the prequels they're designed to be. And I think they did it very well. The reason it's only in 3rd place, though, was because, essentially, when I went to see the Lord of the Rings movies 15 years ago, I was expecting a lot, and it blew me away because it was even more than I expected. I basically knew what to expect, but they did everything right, and that's why it's in 3rd place, in the very least.
Okay, Jay, what's your number 3?
How to Train Your Dragon 2. I really enjoyed this movie because I saw the first one with my girlfriend and we really enjoyed it. She really got attached to the character Toothless and Hiccup, how they formed their bond. And they continue to form their bond even stronger in the second movie. It's 5 years later from the original and it's really good and the story is really well sorted out throughout the movie. And I'm hoping in 2016 when the 3rd one comes out, we're really excited to see that one. So that's my number 3rd movie of 2014.
How to Train Your Dragon 2. That's actually my number 3. I did like it, and my only bad part with it is that it was a little complicated compared to the first film. I think that may be because I didn't see the How to Train Your Dragon Cartoon Network show, which I heard is a connection between the 2 movies. But I really liked the first one. My girlfriend got me into it. I loved it. And I saw the second one. I loved it. There's nothing I can see wrong with it except for it to be a little bit more complicated than the first.
Okay. Well, on to our number 2.
Here comes 2.
Russell, what's your number 2?
My number 2 is the Lego Movie. Basically, I just thought it was a really fun movie. Fun for the entire family, in fact. Jokes for the whole family, both adults and children. It was a lot of fun, action-packed. Had music by Mark Mothersbaugh of Devo. It was just a great experience all around.
Okay, Jay, what's your number 2?
My number 2 is the same as Russell's, the Lego Movie as well. I really enjoyed it. Basically what he says, a lot of things from it, a lot of elements, no pun intended. I love the movie. It's just, I love Legos. They're my favorite toy. So seeing the movie in its elements, I just enjoyed it all around. And it was fun and family orientated for adults and kids. And I hope they do a sequel. Well, actually they are going to do a sequel and I'm excited to see that when that comes out in a few years. So that's my number 2 movie of 2014.
Okay, Tyler, what's your number 2?
Number 2 is TMNT. I loved it. It was a lot better than I expected, being that I was a fan of the Turtles growing up as a kid. I was only probably 3 at the time, but I loved the show. I watched it with my brother all the time. It was a lot different than the TV show because there's a different origin of how the Turtles mutated, but I loved what they did with it, and that's why it's my number 2. If I had to nitpick, the Turtles, I think, looked more realistic in the old movies compared to the new ones. I mean, the CG, you can tell CG is fake, but I did like the way that they made the Turtles look a little bit more realistic. It's just the CGI kind of made it look fake, but other than that, I loved it. That's my number 2.
Number 1. Oh, yeah.
Okay, now we're going to go on to number 1. So what's your number 1 movie this year?
My favorite movie of 2014 was Captain America: The Winter Soldier. Let me start off by saying I actually don't like the character of Captain America that much. He never interested in me that much as a character. When I saw the coming attractions, it actually looked really good. When I went to see it in theaters, it completely blew me away, and let me tell you why. One of the big things over the years was when Disney bought Marvel, people were complaining, oh my god, they're gonna dumb every Marvel movie down and everything. They did not dumb this down. They took this as serious with a tone as they could. They actually directly said the word Nazi, connected it with Hydra. They actually wrote it out, and that is something you would not expect when Disney took over. To take it to such a mature level, it absolutely blew me away, and pretty much, what can I say? It was pretty much the perfect movie for 2014.
Okay, Jay, what's your number one?
My number one is I did enjoy all 4 Marvel movies that came out, which was Spider-Man, X-Men, Days of Future Past, as Russell said, Captain America. My favorite one was Guardians of the Galaxy, and the reason why is Guardians of the Galaxy is a very obscure comic. I mean, even me and Russell did a lot of research even before going into the movie. We were saying, like, they're going to be doing a movie on this character, and this character, and this character. But what my girlfriend brought up is they developed the backstories of all 5 of those characters. Very well done, because everybody knows who Captain America, everybody knows Thor, Hulk, Iron Man. They know all these characters. But when they succeeded in the movie that they did this, and to develop those 5 main characters, that was amazing in itself. Josh Brolin, who played Thanos, that was the one scene in the movie that really got me to actually see Thanos. I know we saw him briefly in the end of Avengers, but I was really shocked that they actually put him in. I know we were going to see him in Infinity War, but that was what really was the crowning moment of that movie, and that's why this was the number 1 movie for me of the year.
Tyler, what's your number one new movie?
Big Hero 6. I didn't know what to expect because at first I heard Big Hero 6, I looked it up on this list of movies that were upcoming from Disney. And I was thinking, Big Hero 6, what's that? I look at it, I hear it's this Marvel comic from I don't know where, but I never even heard of this. So if anybody else has never heard of it, I was who's gonna see this movie of this obscure comic book? But I went to see it and I loved it. I mean, it's the very first Marvel movie that Disney has done an animated movie. I think they did really well with it. I loved the characters, I loved Baymax. But the only problem is, and some critics pointed this out, is that they didn't really go into the backstories of the other characters, and I kind of agree with that. I would have liked to know a little bit more about the other characters, like Fred. And I don't know, I just really loved it. It made me think of the Iron Giant, Baymax kind of made me think of the Giant, and, well, the rest you'll find out when you see it. So, that's why it's my number one.
Okay, before we get to the worst movies of the year, we're going to have maybe a few honorable mentions. Do you have any honorable mentions?
Yes, I do. X-Men Days of Future Past. It's the Chris Claremont story from the X-Men, in my opinion, actually done properly, because I was not a fan of how it was done in the X-Men animated series. And aside from, obviously, comical elements, I'm a huge history buff, so there's that. Another reason I love this movie so much, there is a scene in the movie where, well, I don't want to spoil the scene for you, but it was a scene where 2 characters, one from the past and one from the future, that character meets his or herself in the future, in a sense. A tear was brought to my eye with the dialogue from that scene. When you get something that powerful, they did something totally right in that scene. And for that reason alone, and just for how fantastic the whole movie was, with the tension at several points and everything, I must give it an honorable mention.
Jay?
X-Men Days of Future Past was really good because it's building up to X-Men Apocalypse, which is coming out in a few years. The other movie it was an independent movie, the AVGN movie, Angry Video Game Nerd movie. Even though James Rolfe took several years to make this movie, the end result turned out to be very well executed.
Yes.
Yeah.
And the other one I'm going to mention, the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle movie. As growing up, I used to watch the show back in the late 80s, early 90s, and I watched a new show on Nickelodeon. It's a really well done show. Me and Russell both went in thinking this movie was going to be terrible because you hear about Michael Bay, Transformers, even though some of the movies were good, some of the movies weren't as good. But the thing is, I enjoyed this movie, and it was very well executed in its entirety, even though it gets a lot of mixed reviews. And those are my honorable mentions for 2014.
Tyler?
My honorable mentions, even though I don't really have that much to say about them, Guardians of the Galaxy, definitely loved it. Hobbit, Battle of the Five Armies, loved it. Oh, the Angry Video Game Nerd movie, definitely.
Okay, Russell. Okay, we are top 3, number 3 worst movie.
Number Number 3 would be The Expendables 3, or as one of them actually referred to in the movie as The Deletables. Essentially, every single person you saw being mentioned getting a role in the movie, you barely see them in the movie. They mentioned Wesley Snipes, yet he acts more like a cross between Ernie Hudson and Orlando Jones, which is not necessarily bad in and of itself, but at the same time, it just kind of threw me off a little bit. The pacing is atrocious. They had Mel Gibson go off on one of his anti-Semitic rants, tweaked a little bit to have a How I Became a Villain backstory. The reason it's not the most hated film of mine for the year is because Kelsey Grammer's in it, he was fantastic, and I love Antonio Banderas. And that's the reason it's my number 3.
Number 3, Jay?
Actually, I don't have a number 3 in this case.
Alright. Tyler?
I got nothing. All I saw was good movies this year.
Oh, good. That's good for you. Alright, back to you, Russell.
Okay.
Number 2, worst movie.
Here comes 2.
Number 2 for me is Maleficent. Let me start by telling everybody what I enjoyed about it. Angelina Jolie was perfectly cast as the main character. No questions asked. The set design's gorgeous. The CGI, it was to die for. Unfortunately, that's about as far as it went. The script was incredibly clunky. To make this story, quote-unquote, work, shall I say, they had to basically screw up the well-known character traits of 3 of the most beloved characters from the story. They did some stuff with them that, to say they dumbed them down, doesn't even begin to describe it. I confess, one thing I did enjoy about it, because of just how bad it was, the King. His acting is so over the top, so idiotic. I enjoyed it just because of how bad it was. But essentially, I actually went to the movie, and even the tone of the beginning was so confusing to me. So basically, in total, the movie was pretty much a disaster, even though there were a few good things about it.
Jay, what's your number 2 worst movie?
Probably The Expendables 3. Probably a lot of things that Russell mentioned. It just fell short of the past 2, and I don't know if they're gonna go making us a 4th one. I hear mixed reviews, so I guess we'll find out soon. I mean, Kelsey Grammer was good. There was a few good characters in the movie, but a lot of the newer kids weren't that great. It was most of the older people, except for Mel. Yeah, Mel Gibson was kind of over the top. Yeah.
Okay, number 1, the very worst, bottom of the barrel, worst movie of the year, Russell.
Number 1. Oh, yeah.
Dawn of the Planet of the Apes. Tony, I know you liked it, and I know several other people, including critics, did.
Yeah.
My personal opinion, most of those critics were probably paid off. Jay and I saw both of the movies back to back, and we loved Rise of the Planet of the Apes. There was a big plot hole, but I was able to overlook it because I liked the characters and everything, and still the plot was overall very good. Well, the problem with this movie is, in order to have a plot hole, you need a plot. The movie didn't even have a plot going for it. The characters were bland beyond words. I almost wonder, the main character, is he Kristen Stewart's acting coach? Because he literally had the same expression on in every single scene. I mean, you could put anything in front of him and nothing would have mattered. And the writing, you could get a 3-year-old to write it. I mean, that's how bad it was. Jay and I were seriously sitting there saying, is it over yet? Is it over yet? Is it over yet? Is it over yet? And everyone says, wow, this is so well written, so incredibly thought out. No, it's not. It's really not. It was just a disaster from beginning to end. There was one scene I liked, and only because it was so idiotic, it was hilarious. One of the apes goes to the city on a horse blasting machine guns. I call him Rambonobo. It is the most idiotic thing I've ever seen. There is no redeeming quality about this movie. It was terrible from beginning to end.
Okay. Jay, what's your number 1 worst movie of the year?
Same Dawn.
Same, wow.
Yeah, Dawn of the Planet of the Apes. It just really didn't have any redeeming factors to it. It just, I know you gave it an A- on your review. Both of them. I mean, the CGI was still very well done.
Yeah.
A lot of stuff was still well done. The music, the score was really well done. But you can have a good score and you can have a good CGI. But if you have a bad script or a bad plot or a bad story where it really was not, it was very lackluster, then you're just going to have shit, you know? I mean, there was a lot of signing in the movie, but I even heard that you didn't even need the subtitles. It didn't make a difference if you had or not. You know, I mean, maybe it would make a little more sense, but even still, it didn't like bring a really huge element to the story.
And lest we forget, if there were subtitles in the first movie, we wouldn't have needed them regardless. It was because the script was good enough. If you need the subtitles that badly, something is clearly wrong with the script. And
I mean, there was one scene I did like in the movie. It was like when it was a few good scenes, but the one scene that really stood out to me was where where Caesar was talking to his son when his son thought he was killed off by Koba, and sorry if that's a spoiler. But he goes to him and he sees that he's not dead, and it's just a moving scene because he's talking to him about he's just there together. It's like it's a moving scene, but like it says, one movie scene's not gonna make up for the whole movie. I mean, it wasn't good.
Now, I'd like to say, well, lucky Tyler, he only saw good movies this year. But I'd like to say, that this is why I like doing these things, because our opinions differ vastly, especially this year.
Another movie maybe me and Russell will do as an honorable mention. We just did the interview. I enjoyed it a lot more than he did, but he still enjoyed it, and that was a real good one, so you guys should see it when you get a chance.
Definitely.
So yeah, this video will definitely have a part 2, because I gotta give my list, which are a little differ from their lists greatly, like I said, in some cases. But that's what movies are all about. People have different opinions, and some people not everybody's gonna like everything you're gonna like.
Sure.
So we welcome 2015 coming. There's a lot of good movies coming out, and
Star Wars, Avengers.
Oh, yes.
Hot Tub Time Machine.
SpongeBob.
Ah!
So yeah. So I look out for part 2, and we'll see you in 2015, folks. Hey everybody, Tony Beers here again, and this is a special movie grades. We're gonna do a countdown of our top 3 movies of 2024. Oh,
24. Sorry.
We can predict the future.
Sure. Let's go with that. Wow. It'd be like Spider-Man 24.
Hey,
all right, I'll start.
Maybe. Say happy 2015.
Happy 2015, everybody. This is the year of Doc and Marty. Don't forget.
And I better get a hoverboard. Scientists, you have until October 21st.
He wants you to be his daddy later.
You want me to be your daddy?
No, naughty.
But